Welcome back to another episode of Mojo Talk Radio. And today I have one of our favorite returning guests, Michael Ballard. Michael Ballard is our, I'm going to say, in-house resiliency expert because he knows how to bring the goods around, moving us emotionally from the places we get stuck in our heads, hearts, and minds, and unearthing what it is that blocks us into a more powerful state of being. Michael, welcome back to Mojo Talk Radio.
It is great to be here, and thank you very much. Good to have me here.
So, Michael, you're in Toronto, and I hear it's
Yes.
sweltering today. Is that true?
It's so warm, I wore my Hawaiian shirt.
Well, it was kind of warm here today, so I wore a T-shirt, and I never wear T-shirts around, especially on camera, but here I am, and you know what? I have to do this more often. I'm kind of liking it, so it's all good. Anyways, I want to start today's show around a topic near and dear to my heart, and it centers around community. And as entrepreneurs out there and people who are plugged into the world of social media, building, audience building, and traction, all of that, how we sometimes get in our own way around our mindsets, how our mindsets are sort of built around what it means to build community and some of the blocks that might keep us from experiencing that. And I know we see a lot of communities being built out there, and I'll use some that people may know. For instance, Gary Vaynerchuk has a huge community of people out there, and if people are in the world of marketing, they know who Gary V is and follow him religiously, and they love his message. And some people don't like his message, but if you don't, you're not part of his community. And there are so many communities like that of people that are growing the followings by the millions, and then they have more grassroots followings of people who have members in the hundreds of thousands, and smaller communities than that where they're just the tens of thousands, or hundreds. And Michael, you have a hopping community of about over 3,000 in your resiliency group on Facebook.
People interested in what is resiliency, how to be more resilient, how to support others to be more resilient, and it's a safe place to be.
Very nice, very nice. Kudos to you for building that community. But why I called you on here today was to talk about how one gets past the blocks to building community. I'm a community builder. I didn't really associate that term with myself until just recently when I figured out what it is I'm actually up to out there. And it's about building community. I'm a connector. I love bringing people together. I see someone with a problem over here. I see someone that can provide the solution. And my thing is obvious, is to bring them together so they can go off and make smoke rise. It's just obvious to me to do that. And just recently, Michael, as you know, I started a space called the Mojo Syndicate, where I'm bringing like-minded people into a deep interest space where we can climb and spiral up our dreams together. And so this is where we sort of kicked off the conversation, Michael, is what prevents people or scares people from being engaged in community? What blocks the sharing and the growing?
I think there's several things that stop us from sharing to grow. I think there's the fear of rejection. There's potentially the fear of I'm not good enough to participate. And then there could be some describe it as the imposter syndrome. If I speak up, they're going to figure out that I really don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's my problem every single day. My goodness. You know what? Here's the thing. I've got this backwards then, because I share, I press the publish button, and then it's like, uh-oh. As opposed to, uh-oh, before I press the publish button.
Well,
I think after.
Well, I think we all get a little of it on occasion. I think it's important to share. And by sharing, though, is the other thing, it makes us vulnerable. If you've been on social media, you've been attacked through sarcasm, nastiness, and vulgarity, all the things, whether it's based on our image, our words, our deeds. Somebody out there is going to hate you just because you showed up and signed in today. So I think it's important to realize that it's easy to say, but if you take everything personal, you might as well not bother getting out of bed. So you have to, over time, toughen up the armor and find a way and find places and spaces where you are quite fine to be yourself.
Okay.
And
So I'm
others
going
will
to ask
accept you
you
for that.
to counsel me just a little bit here as a self-proclaimed community builder.
Yes.
Um, my goal is not necessarily about how many people I can accumulate into Pamela's world, not at all. My goal is to connect up to people who are going down the same path and are looking for the same resources, tools, needs, conversations, and upliftment to keep fighting the good fight.
Yes.
So, what should my expectations around this be? Because as you start down this road, you immediately get slammed into walls from people because, or they run the other way from you because I think, and I could be wrong, I think if you are too gung ho around this whole sharing and connecting, it's off putting to people. Maybe they get suspicious. What are you up to?
What do you really want? Are you trying to manipulate me?
Mm,
What's your real agenda?
mm,
I remember having to take, when I was in corporate, a sales program. And I remember by the break on the first day of a 3-day, $9,000 for this course per person in the room, saying to myself, this isn't persuasion selling. This isn't relationship selling. This is manipulation selling. I hate it. Now, if it's a safety issue and I'm going to save your life or save lives or change lives through manipulation, I'll do it to keep you safe. But that's the only time I want to manipulate is to keep people safe or safer. And I remember butting heads with the corporate trainer who had been mandated that through the board that he had to teach us all this program. So manipulation, people are scared that you're trying to do something. Why are you so nice? What do you really want? What are you going to charge me later? I remember somebody helping me, and I hadn't asked for the help, but they said, you should do this. And they gave me ABC. And I said, oh, thank you very much. That's very helpful. They sent me an invoice. I said, go get stuffed. It was like, wow. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought there was a hidden camera and I was being punked or spoofed. He actually sent me an invoice. I didn't ask for their help. So I think that people don't share because they're scared, they're concerned, or they've experienced attack or nastiness. And so they just want to go along quietly in stealth mode below the radar, not really engaging. And yet, when we don't engage with each other, we lose because I have things to learn from you, and I'd like to think you have things to learn from me, and I know that you've got a brother and a mother that have things to teach me, and I got some real smart relatives too, and that's just in the family, never mind out a level.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then there's our professional circles and our friendship circles and our volunteer circles. There's a whole lot of information, rational, emotional, intellectual, health, that you name it, that we could share that could change our lives. That's free.
So basically what you're saying then is when one steps out in a mode of helping, and I bring my thinking back to a video I saw Gary Vee do about how we are, and he's very outspoken. I mean, he uses language in a way that might be off-putting to people, but he punches through the nonsense, and that's what I love. Punching through the nonsense, meaning if I'm going to be the connector, if I'm going to be the influencer and the leader, minding people who are too stuck on what is it she's up to can't be a concern for me then. I have to just get past those people because they're going to keep me stuck like they're stuck. They're
Yep.
going to keep me afraid like they are afraid. And that's not the whole point of what I'm teaching people here.
They've got their walls of judgment set up, and they want you to jump over them because they don't want to go through back and forth and connect heart to heart, head to head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do you get, and I know everybody's busy connecting through Facebook groups and Facebook pages and all of these things. What is some of the advice for the leaders? Because you're the resiliency guy, and this is a basically how to master resiliency as you build anything, whether you're building communities or building a business or building a family. There's a lot of feedback coming back towards you from out there. when you try to step up and do anything. What are some pointers for us, maybe 2 to 3 pointers for us, Michael, as we have to deal with people every day who are either in resistance or fear or all of it?
Well, first of all, connecting with others is a process. So know that it's a process. We all do it a little differently, to very differently, but it's a process. So in your process, what attracts you to others? So one of the people I'm very attracted to intellectually is a young lady who is going state to state in the U.S., pardon me, getting laws changed so that schools must teach children about safety, physical, sexual safety. This young woman isn't 35 yet. She's had more than 30 states change laws. She is tireless and fearless. So I am attracted to that because, wow, she went through terrible things for multiple times, and yet she's this lightning rod. She doesn't care if you're a grumpy old white guy, a 20-year-old grumpy black kid. Let's do this together. Let's not make excuses. We're either here to help 7-year-olds and 14-year-olds or we're not. So you're going to make a choice or you're going to make excuses. Let's get going. Let's rock and roll this. And it's like, wow.
See, I love that energy. I'm going to stop you right there. You see, that's what I'm talking about. The no excuses stuff. There are so many excuses why things can't get done. I know we're all busy. Everybody tries to throw that one at me. Oh my gosh, can you really be any busier than me? Is it a competition? I mean, I said to somebody, unless you're running the planet, you have time. It's a matter of choices and motivation. So
Yep.
there's a big piece to the resiliency then, Michael, about what it is that you're motivated to do and why.
Yes. So know that it's a process, but what's your why? And does my why and your why connect in a way that we can build and collaborate? Or does my way and your why, are they different, but can we support each other by who we know and help you connect? So I know that I introduced you to a neuroscientist who happens to be somebody that inspires me with his passion for moving people onwards, forwards, upwards. His approach is radically different than mine, but our purposes are both to help people evolve, grow, stay safe, be prosperous, and have a joyful time in life, in work and home and community.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I introduce you to that man? He doesn't do what I do.
And you did?
I know, but there's that little tiny part of me that went, she's going to get stuff from him I can't give her. Oh, if I truly care, that won't be an issue. And if she's truly as good as I think she is, and you are, she's going to reflect back and say, that Ballard guy, oh, that was so nice of him. Made my life a little richer. So we both win. He wins because he gets to meet you because you add value in ways I can't. So the process, what are the outcomes? If one of my friends is hurting and they're down and out so bad that if I introduce them to someone who can help and they don't reflect back and say thank you, then why was I doing it and expecting a thank you? Shouldn't just helping them get the help they need be enough? Why was I expecting rules to be followed of engagement where they always have to say thank you, preferably in a note in the mail, to go back to the 1960s? No. If they really needed help and I helped them help and they healed or they moved along and they have less pain, then that's enough.
You did your job.
I did my job for being on the planet. And for anybody that's watching this, yes, I'm a little intense, but it's my 4th chance at life due to some big health issues. If you see me in a bathing suit, it looks like Zorro and I had a fight with a pitchfork and a garden spade. I almost lost.
For the viewers, Michael bounced back from death a couple of times. Was it 2 or 3 times, Michael?
This is my 4th chance. I might be the only guy that gets rushed in to emerge and says to the doctor who showed up, I'm here for the money back guarantee. You offer no charge warranty work, right? Because I was scared out of my mind. So there's a process to engage with others and connect. There's expectations, but we should also have.
Let's focus on expectations for a minute.
Yes.
You touched something earlier in your conversation around people are cautious around expectations. What am I expecting by calling you over here to the side of the street? Everybody's guard goes up. She's up to something. She's manipulating. She wants something. She's going to charge you. Is that something for me to worry about? Or do I just keep moving?
I think I put that in there as a filter, but not a block.
Okay.
As I shared earlier, and I don't remember if we were on air or off air, somebody once helped me and then sent me an invoice.
Yeah.
Huh. I get introduced to somebody who could help, and we had a little chat on social media in early days. They sent me the solution. I thanked them, and then they sent me an invoice. Well, I didn't hire them. They never asked to be hired. So I said, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to put it up sort of like a screen door. Still lets the air in, but it keeps the big bugs out. So you want to put up the filter. And I have a couple of lonely lost souls who want me to give them an inheritance, pay for their post-secondary master's degrees. And I'm like, no, I can be respectful. I can be friendly. That's not what I'm here for. I help a select few in my family. They help me, and we stay focused. I can't help 100,000 people. I'd like to be able to, but I'm not able to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I support a charitable group online that invests in women in agriculture, women in manufacturing, and micro businesses.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I invest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's a process. There's the boundaries we have to have. As soon as I get asked, or as soon as I get sent inappropriate pictures, it's a block. I get asked for money, it's a block. Although if they're young, I assume that the pictures I see are really them. If it's a student at university, I explain I can support you emotionally, but not financially. But if they keep asking, then I say, I've had this talk with you 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out, goodbye, block.
Yeah.
A couple have found me through other means and asked forgiveness, and we've reconnected, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to have our boundaries.
Yeah.
There's a couple of grandmothers out there who have been very respectful and introduced me to people that have been big influences in my life, which I'm forever grateful, because I helped a grandmother or grandfather with a grandchild with behavior issues.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for free because the child deserved the help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
boundaries, expectations, there's a process.
So, Michael, let me ask you this question then. Do you think people are more respectful or value a sort of hardcore sales business approach more than a collaborative, inclusive approach? Are people still too suspicious of the collaboration thing?
I think that that's a real personality cultural issue on which one you like. My business background is all about sell, 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 collaborate. And I turned the model on its head, and head office went, you haven't lost any customers in your 10-year career here. No, because I didn't try to sell people after a couple of years. I realized that if I collaborated and cooperated and helped them solve other problems outside of my job, then suddenly the sales just happen magically, if you will. So if you're my customer and you have staffing issues and I helped you with staffing issues, suddenly you were like, oh yeah, you needed to show me something. Send me what you think will work. I used to get blank POs after the second year of my career. So for 8 years, I'd go in, I'd get a PO, it was signed, fill it in, send me what you want, I trust you. And I was like, wow. So I prefer the collaboration and cooperation with a hint of selling, but the selling is more about choices, prices, timing, best
But on
outcomes.
the other hand, I mean, we can collaborate up the yin yang, and people are doing that. They're spending all kinds of time relationship building and this building and that building. Meanwhile, this is still about building a business. You
Yes,
still have to get the money through the
so
door.
we still have to ask for the business. We still have to ask for the sale. We have to still say it's going to cost you X to get to Y.
Yeah.
So yes, I just like to do the relationship building first, and somewhere after the first third of the process, I like to say, so here's what I charge for the outcomes. And I still have people who think I do everything I do for free because I'm so nice.
Well, you see, and that's it. And I think it's the expectation about being in the marketplace. I mean, if you're creating product using your good energy and your thinking cap and all of that, the expectation is at some point you have to put some skin in the game. Because
Yes.
nobody values anything that's for free. I don't care really how many courses do you have on your table that you've never paid for and ever used, download ebooks and all of that stuff. You're not paying attention to that, but we do value anything that is worth $1 and up because energy was exchanged for that information for the
Yes.
service, right?
Yes.
So
I value my laptop. I value my clothes. They all do good things for me.
that's right. If it was handed to you, not so much. And we've experienced that with our children. Whatever they get, they don't necessarily value it because they didn't have to go out and get work to get it. So we understand that concept. Yet we somehow get that skewered in this marketplace where because we have such ongoing, I would even say virulent connection to free stuff all the time, we expect it always to be that. But if we're part of a group that respects each other's initiative, drive, ambition, work ethic, productivity, all of that, and supporting that with each other and bringing people in that we know that supports that and grow, and we can grow that. And we're feeding in the system. I have, for those that don't know this yet, I have this T-shirt on. It says, "I am the new economy," meaning that in essence we are our own economic systems. Before we used to be one big economic system, whether you're in Canada, the U.S., or wherever, you're in the economic system. We're walking economies. What is it you have to offer, Michael? And then you would tell me, what is it I have to offer, Pamela? And I would tell you. And how can we trade that? Okay, maybe you don't have anything I want right now, Michael, but I have 5 people over here that I know that need resiliency work. I can't do that. That's not my thing. I know about it. I can probably talk it, but you know what? I don't have that depth of body and years of skill and work that you have. So why wouldn't I pass that on to you? And vice versa. And I think what I'm trying to do, and I know this sounds pitchy on my part, but I don't care. Here I go. This is my thing. I want to try and connect people to that thinking or level and depth of thinking that says, let's get over the bullshit and let's move out as an economy. Because we are moving into a world system that says if you don't get on with this thing, you're going to be left in the corner crying and you're not going to know what happened.
Yep.
I just had a friend, I just to finish this thought, Michael, I have a friend in Toronto, a new bank pops up, there are no tellers in it. Where did all those people go? Something to think about, right?
Very much so. You got to up your game. There's gonna be a parting of the ways. I've got a young lady who went back to school 3 times before she clicked into the career, and she supported herself by doing cashier work. But like she says, in the last place she worked, cashiers have been cut back by a full 40% because they've got self-serve.
And it's going to grow.
Oversees the 6 semi-automatic cash yourself out. And she said there used to be 6 more cashiers there. And you can actually, I went to where she used to work. You can see the marks on the concrete where they got rid of the cashier desks.
Yep, and it's going to keep scaling back. It's going to be the point where you're just on your computer, you're ordering, you throw out your cart, and you walk or drive up and pick up your stuff.
And so I have a business acquaintance who's in the business of building large buildings. So if you want to build a $20 million warehouse in Toronto region, they'll bid on it. And she tells me that Amazon and one other group are building large warehouses across North America because they would like you to have 2-hour service from having paid for the order. I can't get to 2 of my favorite grocery stores round trip, including shopping, in 2 hours for the specialty stuff I like to buy twice a year. So what will that do to them if they lose 12% of their business? Because I can get it online and have it delivered in under 2 hours.
And we say, oh, well, too bad, so sad. But it's the way that it's going to go. And the word here is adaptability. And we're not looking.
And we're feeling the fear, we're not feeling the opportunity.
And this is beautiful, beautiful, Michael, the opportunity to get together, use our resiliency powers together as one, because maybe I'm really in fear mode. I really don't know what's going on up there. Maybe you're a little bit further ahead. You can say, Pamela, this is what's going on. I can help bring you through. Let's have a conversation, a live chat, whatever it is. But how are we going to do that if we don't know? Everyone's looking at the news saying, oh, too bad, so sad. And as long as it doesn't touch me, I'm good. It's going to touch everybody. It will touch everybody at some level.
If it doesn't get us, for those of us over a certain age, it will definitely get our kids or for those of us of a certain age, our grandkids. And we need to be prepared because I'm meeting people who have gone back to work in their 70s to help pay for their grandkids' education because they seem to have hit a wall with money.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting to meet somebody that used to have a $25 million budget, and they work 2 days a week to help put the grandchild through university. And they said, I'm having fun, wasn't what I planned to do, but I just can't take the risk of dipping into my savings to help this child, but they're well worth the effort. So we take it one semester commitment at a time. You get the grades, I'll get the cash.
Very nice. But again, collaborative thinking.
Absolutely, because as this grandparent told me, she said, my education was paid for in part by my grandparents. And we keep trying to raise the bar in the family, not to force the kids to do more, but just to keep them safer. We don't care what they do as long as it's legal and safe. We want them to be safe. So deep sea diving for a living, we're not too big on. It's a highly risky career, as anybody that knows that's investigated it.
Absolutely.
So it's that collaboration to help lift each other up. And the old word about net and working. You're building a net to keep working. But I'd like to think that we also help elevate and raise up.
Elevate and raise up. And there's so much that we don't know individually. As a group, we can move out powerfully. It's not that we lack access to the information. It's what information do we particularly need to do what we have to do.
Yes. And how do we use the information? Two of us using the same information might implement it so different. You get dramatically positive results, and I get, yeah. So you say, well, I did ABC, and I say, well, I did ABC, and if we don't compare implementation, why is mine produced tepid, lukewarm, break even, or we're still lose, and you got spectacular, many-digit success?
Because I'm wearing Mojo red lipstick.
I'll need a dozen tubes.
But I get your point. And that's why I love the power of competition. Yes, I'm in competition. I'm in competition with myself. I'm in competition with yesterday's results. I'm in competition with a whole different kinds of things. But from what I understand, and these are some stats, I wish I had the numbers written down here, we are shifting out of a whole type of landscape right now.
Yes.
A whole swath of jobs and a whole swath of people that are going to disappear from those jobs. And there are jobs that are coming in that we don't even know exist yet. The kids in kindergarten, grade 1, are going to be working at jobs that we don't even know exist yet.
I totally understand that part, because when I taught job search in the early 90s to IT professionals, by the late 90s, there was jobs in IT that didn't exist in the early 90s, and yet it was less than 10 years. So I said to the software people in the early 90s, what will you do to keep up? And they said, you don't. You work 5 or 6 years, you make a lot of money, you take a few months off, and you go upgrade all your programming skills. You jump back in, you make even more money, but you got to save some of it because you got to leave in 3 years or 4 years and take another. They said, otherwise, you work for 12, you get laid off because you're obsolete.
Yeah.
It's like, can you imagine our grandparents or great-grandparents thinking that after 10 years of working, you were obsolete?
Well, that thinking doesn't work anymore, as we well know. But again, the reason for the whole sharing vulnerability and resiliency factor that we are talking about here today is how can we help ourselves? If you want to talk about security and protecting selves, security and protecting selves is finding those communities that can help foster the missing pieces and gaps that we don't even know that we have.
All of us need to be nurtured. And sometimes nurtured is a hand up, sometimes nurtured is a gentle poke. And if we choose to listen to what's said with the poke, we can benefit, grow after we get over the initial, oh crap, I screwed up. And so it's really important to find those communities. And I think what you're creating is that opportunity to be supportive if we share and tell the truth. If we reflect on other people's truths and then give them our best answers, that we've made the same mistake or the same mistake differently, and here's how you dug yourself out or how you move forward or how you had the mistake, turn into gold.
And exactly. And before we started this call, I said, I've gotten to the point in my business where it's time for a little bit of a tweak and rehaul and a reemergence as Pamela, the Mojo Maker. What can that be and what can that look like? I can't see it. I need eyes. I need feedback. I need some mirroring effect. And I need a group who I trust to give
Yes.
that to me, who I know isn't there to tear me down, but to build me up. And that's what this is, because I can tell you up and down, I can't tell me anything. I will try.
We can look in the mirror and have a talk with ourselves, but it's us. Another source can see us in a fresh light, different perspectives from different experiences with different language and beliefs.
And in a fraction of a second, and that's the beauty of community, a loving, trusting community that's not going to blow smoke at you, who wants to tell you what you need to know so you can be better, not that you can be safe. And a lot of people are looking for safe. Safe, you don't grow in safe. I'm sorry, no.
No, 3 seconds before I go to sleep, I like to feel real safe. But in the course of the day, I like taking small to medium-sized risks day to day and larger risks in advance with some preparation.
And I'm a challenge person. I love challenges, so I'm going to be holding some challenges internally within the syndicate to help us stretch and grow and do some things, and including me. It's about the accountability though, because I might slide off and let myself off the hook. But if I know you're watching, Michael, it's like, I better get to Michael's checking.
Well, accountability, right? And that's the other thing. A good support group helps us be accountable and say, so you went off track, so what will you do about it? What are your next steps?
Yeah.
What's the date, the time, and the place that you'll take corrective action to achieve this goal?
Yeah. Have you thought about this? Do you need somebody to call you about that? I know a person. All of that kind of stuff. Like we love our heroes and our sheroes out there. People have their Tony Robbins or their Gary Vee's or their was it Joe Sandberg? I could forget her name, but we have our people. But behind, and I'll even throw Oprah in for good measure, right? But behind those people are tons of people that get those people to where they are.
Yes, they did not do it 100% alone at all.
And the more they grow, the bigger the team has to be to keep them going.
Yes. And I remember one of the famous experts of the 80s saying, there's no such thing as a self-made man or woman. No such thing. They didn't get born in a cave alone. A mother gave birth to them. Even if
somebody was there to push it out.
Even if she was the worst mother in the world, she still nurtured them physically against her own wishes, maybe, but she still nurtured them. Somebody was there to help birth the child. It was the mother alone or a team in a hospital. So self-made man, baloney. And he just went down a list of what it takes to get to be 7 years old.
Yeah.
And he went, can they read? There was a teacher, formally or informally. Can they spell? And he went down this list and it was like, so when they got to 21 and said they were self-made, they were lying.
They were lying. Did you eat? Well, there was a farmer and a grocery store and a cow that had to die on your behalf. All these things had to happen for us to do what we have to do. So in a nutshell, Michael, this is really all this is about. Building a community that's going to help us get to the top, because it's hard, it's lonely, it's frightening, it's all these things that we experience alone and in solitude. Most people do because they don't want to share their vulnerability, because they don't have that resiliency piece, which I believe the community will help with. The community can help
that
resiliency factor.
So resiliency is an inside out and an outside in process.
Yes.
And a lifestyle. And so by having a supportive community who helps you stay accountable, also on occasion says, why do you even talk to that person? Don't let them do that to you. You are far too valuable to yourself and us to allow them to keep doing this to you.
Yes.
So sometimes our community will actually help us set our boundaries a little tighter and set up standards a little higher than we might ourselves, because, well, yeah, but no, don't do that.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of very people in pain, we'll call it, and leave it at that. And they got a lot of my time, and then somebody made me realize that I was investing 2 or 3 hours a month being their unpaid therapist when they weren't going to the appointments they should have been going with the licensed experts. So I said, until you've gone 3 years to them, we're done. I can't keep helping you because we're just going in circles. You need help from them. Then I'll willingly give you some time, but you have to be willing to commit to stay to the process. If you don't stay to the process, it was like, wow, how to free up 3 hours a month. Silly me. I once heard it from a good friend who's very wise that they overcare. That's a nice problem, but it's still a problem because you can give away a lot of time and it's great to nurture, but if at the other end it's more like a vacuum cleaner and it's not moving anyone forward, it's just circles around the drain.
That's right. That's right. So, Michael, I want to thank you for joining me here today, and we're going to keep talking, but I'm going to be pulling you more into the syndicate for some really crisp, finite talks. This is a more general forum here, but inside we're going to like really hone in and hammer down and drill down into some deep stuff. Yes, I'm going to take up some more of your time on the other side, but I think it's all worth it. But thank you for spending time here with the Mojo Talk crowd. It's very appreciated. You're always, I love that you always say yes when I ask and you bring the bids. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you. And for the Mojo Talk audience, thank you again. Again, I just want to show off my t-shirt. I love it. It's called I Am the New Economy. I don't know if you can see that. I am the new economy. And that's just my way of saying that we have to open our eyes, get wise, team up and move out and start onboarding some different streams of income. Forget the fact that you have no talent. It's practice in day after day after day, grinding it out. And when we do it together, it becomes fun and effective. So I'll put down at the bottom here how to find the Mojo Syndicate if you want more information about that, how to find Michael Ballard and his world of resiliency and his Facebook group that you need to join up with and get what you need. Michael, any departing comments?
Yes, we talk about networking and connecting, and I would say there's two ways to look at networking and connecting, quality or quantity. With my mental health message with resiliency, I have chased and pursued some quantity. That's good for that reason because I've got the ear a little bit to a lot of over 2,500 mental health care professionals, which is exactly what I wanted, some of them in high levels of prominence. But there's also quality. I would rather have 7 persons in a supportive group like the Mojo Syndicate than 7,000 where nobody's listening, they're just throwing words against the wall. Because quality can move you forward. They can lift you up. So pay attention to quality versus quantity when you're searching for true connections as opposed to just connectors or collectors of connections.
Collectors of connectors, absolutely. So thank you again. So again, listen out for our next episode on Mojo Talk Radio. We're bringing you some live stuff that will help spiral up every area of your life. Thanks again. Bye-bye, Michael.